Welcome back, everyone, to the Baltimore Orioles franchise here on the channel in MLB The Show 23. And if you're new here, consider subscribing to see more of this content. But last episode, we went through the month of July, getting to the trade deadline and looking to see what our prospects who we drafted look like. And this episode, we will start to extend some contracts, get through the month of August, maybe jump into this last week with a full game either against Toronto or the Rockies to finish out August and take us into September call-ups, where we'll actually run through the first bit of September and then see how the rest of our ball clubs are looking in the episode after that through the month of September and finishing up the season. A little over 100 games into the season, we are sitting at 43-61, 17 games behind the Yankees, and 11.5 games back in the wild card. And as we get into the trade deadline, are we going to be buyers or sellers? And I think that a lot of it is going to be selling. We have a few players that I'm not looking to bring back, like Kyle Gibson, maybe some of these lower rated older pitchers here in the minors. I have a few guys in mind from our relievers that we can trade away. And then at position players, we have a lot of depth here at shortstop and a lot of depth at third base, but not much at second. I'm thinking about going and getting a utility infielder. And then Austin Hayes is someone I've been on the bubble about bringing back or not. As of right now, he seems like he's serviceable. I'll look in the trades to see if I can get anything kind of comparable, but so far he's hitting .223 on the season in just about 350 at bats and has a negative .6 WAR. And the whole reason I'm thinking about trading him is we have Jurickson Profar here, who I signed as a free agent to back him up, sitting a slightly lower overall. He's a little bit older, but he hits for a better average than Hayes is hitting right now. And his WAR is still a negative .4, but that's still a little bit better than Austin Hayes. And we have decent depth at our other outfield positions that could make a jump up to the major leagues very soon. Colton Cowser is a 69 overall center fielder. Decent contact. He's hitting .274 right now in AAA with 6 home runs and 36 RBIs and a WAR of 1.7. So he's someone who could make the big league team as a left fielder next year. And then Heston Kjerstad, who we just sent down to AAA to get a little bit more at bats. He was only hitting 184 the major league level, and down in AAA he's hitting 151. So I think we're going to give him a lot more time down there in AAA. He might even have to make a jump down to AA to start the season if these stats don't come up by the end of the minor league season. But we'll cross that bridge whenever we get to it. And I'm thinking maybe we can trade Nomar Mazara to just an outfielder needy team. He's not hitting very well for us down in AAA, only a .248 average, and I just don't have any plans for him later on in the series. And this is how the trade block is currently looking around the league. I'm not sure if we're going to go out and get any of these guys, but there might be a couple here like Eric Lauer who we try and get just because there were a few players on the Brewers that I talked about maybe going and trading for. But I don't think we're in a spot to go and make a big splash move here at the trade deadline. So the first moves we're going to make are trading Michael Givens, Brian Baker, and Austin Voth for Chad Pinder and Tony Santillan. Brian Baker is a 28-year-old, see potential 70 overall relief pitcher. He's in AAA right now, pitching fairly well, but he just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth after giving up 4 earned runs without giving an out whenever I gave him an opportunity in the majors. So we're going to drop him. Michael Givens, I talked about last episode. I want to trade him because he's 32 years old and not really in our plans. And Austin Voth, same kind of deal, 30 years old, deep potential. I don't really see us using him later on in the series. So in return, we're going to get 25-year-old Tony Santillan, see potential, 65 overall. He has a decent hit and K rating. Walks aren't terrible. In the majors right now, he has a 5.55 ERA with a 1.68 whip, which means we'll probably just send him down to AAA. We don't need an extra reliever right now in the pen. And Chad Pinder, I talked about him last time. I like his skill set. The high contact and power against a lefty pretty much means he's going to be kind of in a platoon with Adam Frazier at second base, but he can play all around the field and will give us that right-handed bat against a lefty. And that trade is accepted. And the second and final trade we're going to make is sending starting pitchers Kyle Gibson, second baseman Greg Cullen, and third baseman Kobe Mayo All to the Brewers for Eric Lauer, a starting pitcher, Aaron Ashby, a relief pitcher, and Abraham Toro, who I talked about previously. We know what our guys kind of bring to the table, but Cullen is a deep potential 26-year-old second baseman. Kobe Mayo is a B potential third baseman, only 21 years old, and starting pitcher Kyle Gibson is up there in age at 35. And what we're going to be getting in return is starting pitcher Eric Lauer, who is on the trade block for the Brewers. He's fairly average, in kind of everything. He has good break on his pitches, 27 years old, B potential. It's an upgrade to our starting rotation, I believe, a little bit better than Kyle Gibson's 73. Relief pitcher Aaron Ashby is only 24 years old, throws lefty, he has B potential, and his attributes look pretty good. And he has a 4.2 ERA so far in 39 appearances this season. And his WAR is actually positive. So I feel like he's a good addition into our bullpen. And then second baseman Abraham Toro, who I'm intrigued by his skill set because a lot of power against the righty. He has more contact against the lefty than it does the righty, and he hits switch with C potential. So I'm interested to see, maybe he'll start on the big league club, maybe he'll start in the minors, but right now he's hitting 270 as a utility piece for the Brewers, and I'm looking to see what he brings to our team. And the Brewers accept the deal, and I forgot to tell y'all that the Brewers did just sign Jonathan India, so I felt like they might make a move to get rid of Abraham Toro. And Eric Lauer is now our third ranked starting pitcher. Grayson Rodriguez should be making a return here in a few days from his fractured forearm, so that'll fill out the rotation with Kramer, Irvin, Lauer, Rodriguez, and Means. And Aaron Ashby already starts in the majors right now for us, so that means we're going to have to be sending someone down. I think that is going to be Bruce Zimmerman. He has a 5.44 ERA coming out of the pen right now in 20 appearances, but I think I'd like to give him those starts down in AAA. Maybe he makes a team next year as one of our starting pitchers if any of these guys end up walking. And Abraham Toro is now listed as our second string second baseman. I'm okay with leaving him in the majors right now. Maybe he'll get some good at bats as a pinch hitter or situational hitter off of the bench. And Chad Pinder will be a utility piece for us off of the bench as well. And we make some changes to our roster to get every level at 26 players. Moving players up and down, the most important of which is Jackson Holliday will actually move up to AAA now. So we won't see it in this episode, but we will get a look at him in AAA in the next episode where we're kind of going into player lock games. But we'll keep advancing through and simulating games. We're here on the 30th, and we have 41 players on our roster. So maybe this means someone came back from injury. Well, it looks like we just made some trades that the players stayed on the Major League roster or on the 40-man roster. So Eric Lauer, Aaron Ashby, Abraham Toro, and Chad Pinder, those guys stay on the 40-man rosters. So we're going to have to try and pass someone through waivers, and I feel like that's going to be Mike Baumann. Starting pitcher, 63 overall, 27. We might not even re-sign him this year, but we'll send him or remove him from the 40-man roster, and that should pretty much solve that problem. And we'll keep simulating with don't have 4 valid lineups. We'll just auto fix that. And we end up winning our last game against the Yankees with Eric Lauer pitching in that one, bringing his win-loss total up to 12-3. And looks like we had a pretty good day. Wow, we had 12 hits, a home run from Ramon Urias, an error by Austin Hayes, and Eric Lauer went 9 complete innings of shutout ball, 5 strikeouts, 10 hits. You'll love to see that. Trade already paying off. And today is the trade deadline, and I think I've made the trades that I want to make, so we will just sim through this unless we get some interesting offers. And the Angels want to offer us Alexander Ramirez, 20-year-old outfielder, C potential, good power against the righty, decent in the field for Nomar Mazara. I think I'm okay actually making this trade. It's not the high-profile prospect that we were kind of looking for or thinking about getting, but I feel like this will kind of help our outfield depth, so I'm okay making that trade. And this is the deadline to sign draft picks, so we get one more opportunity. And there weren't many trades that went on around the league Just the Cubs got Scott Barlow from the Royals for Ryan Jensen, and then before we even got to the trade deadline, the Brewers traded for Jonathan India. That was one of the reasons why I went and got Abraham Toro, because the Brewers acquired Jonathan India, so I felt like they might try and trade away some of their other younger second basemen who might not see the field as much. Looks like we had some other trades go through. The Diamondbacks acquired Ramal Tapia and Hans Kraus. I did cut the trade slider down. If you guys want to see that, it's down here at the bottom. Trade frequency, I just cut it in half of that to kind of counter some of the outrageous trading that does go on in MLB The Show. Maybe I'll up it one more little bit for next season. But the last opportunity now to sign our draft picks with Percy Kutch and Steve Odell. I think if I give him $500K, he should take that, and he signs with us. So I'm interested to see what their actual stats are and everything. Same thing with Steven Odell. We'll give him $411. I feel like he should. Excuse me, sir. I just offered you $400,000 to play in single A ball. And we simulate through the first, winning our first game against Toronto. And here on the second day of the month, Wednesday, looking at our draft picks. And Solomon Wall's a 90 potential. Valido is 87. Cameron Dickinson 76. Gonzalez 84. 87 from Alexi Alonso. And Percy Kutch is a 62 with a 69 current overall. But overall, a pretty good draft class. I think we have some lower rated players. But Solomon Wall could look to make the team pretty early with that 74 overall and A potential at only 18 years old. Jorge Valido, 87 potential, 59 current overall, so he will most likely start in Double-A. And I'm thinking a lot of these guys, or pretty much all of them, will start in Double-A. Cameron Dickinson has a 76 potential with a 57 overall currently at 22 years old. Looks fairly good. And overall, I think this was a fairly solid draft class. We went and got a lot of pitching help. So maybe next year we can go and get some of those fielders that we missed out on getting this year. And Gustavo Tejada, the guy that I was thinking about getting instead, he's a 62 overall, so lower overall and a lower potential with an 86 overall potential. And the highest potential player is Albert Wolf at a 99 overall. Very good hitter. We could see him in the majors next year with that bat of his. Ivan Zambrano, the catcher I was looking at, he turns out to be an 86 potential player. Good power, good fielding. He could also make a major league club next year. But overall, I'm happy with our draft class. Let me know what you think in the comments. If y'all want to see any of these teams, any of the guys that I was talking about during the draft, if y'all want to see kind of how their potentials and their ratings look, let me know, and I can maybe run through that in the next episode. And I think there's at least two players that I would like to give contract extensions to, and that is Felix Bautista and Adley Rutschman, our two all-stars. And then going down the line, I think there's a lot of players here that I want to try and keep on the team. And we're going to try and sign Felix Bautista to a 4-year, $10 million contract as our closer that is backloaded to keep him in his arbitration years. And he accepts the offer. And we'll do about the same here for Adley Rutschman, 4 years, $12 million on a backloaded contract for his arbitration years. And he signs that. And we'll see if Gunnar Henderson will take this 5-year for $13 million deal. Same kind of deal. And he accepts. And for everyone else, I'll just wait a little bit longer to re-sign some of these guys. But you guys let me know, who do you think deserves re-signing? Cedric Mullins, he's hitting .245, 28 years old. We could get him for another year or two. Same deal with Santander. He's one of our best hitters, hitting .227, 19 home runs. And we'll offer one more contract, and that is to Anthony Santander, 3 for 17.5 front loaded, just in case we want to offload him after a few years. And he wants me to increase the salary, so we'll bump it up to 18. Is that enough? Nope. What about 19? And he signs. So we signed a few key players. Let me know who else you guys would like me to keep on the team, who we kind of should let go. I kind of have another few players that I want to try and do for next week, like maybe Mullins, Mountcastle. I'd like to re-sign Eric Lauer, depending on how he kind of pitches for us. But yeah, leave your suggestions in the comments of who you'd like to see me bring back next season. And that will take us back into simulating, trying to get into August, and Grayson Rodriguez is finally no longer injured. And we're going to send Grayson Rodriguez down to AAA so he can get some quality innings down there. And that means there is a AAA pitcher that needs to go down to AA. And that is going to be Seth Johnson, who seems to be struggling a bit with a 5.44 ERA and just over 100 innings at AAA. And we'll send Nick Vespi, the closer, down to Class A, as he looks like he is also struggling at the AA level. And we'll keep simming until we get later into the season. I want to get either into a game against Toronto or a game against Colorado. I just haven't quite decided which yet. And I think I figured out which game I want to get to. It's a game pitched by Eric Lauer. I'm not exactly sure who is going to be against, either Toronto or Colorado, but we will see how the team is doing before we get into that game, as we are on a bit of a losing streak. Lost 4 straight and 5 straight and 6 straight, 7 straight, and looks like Lauer's last chance to pitch isn't until Colorado on the Saturday the 26th, so we will keep going to that. And we only win 1 against Toronto. We win with Dan Kramer, and this is the game we want to see, going against Antonio Senzatella for the Rockies. And there is Eric Lauer making his 6th start for us. He is 2-2 in 5 starts so far with 1 no decision. And we'll just look to see if he can have his 3rd win of the day today, as he takes on the Colorado Rockies here in his home park, facing Charlie Blackmon. And both the Orioles and the Rockies are both 51 and 77 on the season in the bottom dregs of their respective leagues. And Lauer has been on a cold streak, so we'll look to see if he can turn that around today, as that is popped up right back to the mound. And Lauer has it for an unassisted 1. And Ezekiel Tovar steps in, the shortstop, hitting .240 on the season. And that's hit into center field. Mullins is running in, and he has the speed to get to it. The second out is recorded. And here is Jonathan Daza hitting .281 on the season. And the 1-2 pitch to Daza is in the dirt. Another one in the dirt, and it's a full count. And we give him the walk with the ball way out of the zone, and they have a base runner for Ryan McMahon now. And swings through the curveball, and the top of the first is over. Good start for Eric Lauer. And we are facing Antonio Senzatella, someone who actually made a few attempts to actually trade for, but it just wasn't going to work out. He has a 5.88 ERA, and he was someone who the Rockies were looking to trade. Looks like they didn't find a trade partner, but he steps in now, facing Gunnar Henderson, leading off, only hitting .212 so far on the season. But I dropped him in the order before this game against lefties, but he is facing a righty in Senzatella. That's grounded up the middle and gets through the infield for a base hit for Gunnar Henderson. So that brings up Cedric Mullins looking to advance the runner. Gunnar Henderson has some speed over there at first, so they have to be wary of the steal. Do we want to steal right now? Maybe if it works a little ahead. 1-0 count right now. And 2-0 count now for Cedric Mullins. And that is hit into the shallow gap, but caught by the right fielder coming in. So here comes Ryan Mountcastle, who I'm pretty sure I want to re-sign, but also I would like for his stats to come up a little bit. You saw he's only hitting .237. I'd like him to hit at least over .250. So he hits that with good timing into the right or center field and caught for out number 2. And so Anthony Santander steps in. We did give him a couple more year extension. So hopefully he can come through in those couple years, give maybe Kerstad or somebody else some time to get better. And Henderson is going right now and passed into dirt. And Henderson is safe as second with a stolen base. Let's see just how fast he was going. 19.33 miles per hour. It didn't tell me how many steals he had, but I think that might have been his like 8th, maybe 9th of the season. Santander with a 2-2 count. And works it full, looking at the high fastball with Ramon Urias on deck. And walks Santander. 2 on with 2 out with Ramon Urias coming into bat. Urias is hitting 273 on the season, so I moved him up the order a little bit. I think he was hitting 7th or 8th, so I moved him up to 5th. But he has good contact, decent power against the righty. So we'll see if he can bring in Gunnar Henderson, which he is not. Just pops out to first base. End of the first. And here's Brendan Rodgers hitting 291 on the season, with Eric Lauer trying to put together his second good outing, or second good inning in a row. And there are 2 reasons why I wanted to get into this game specifically. One, it's Eric Lauer. Great job by Mountcastle over there to snag that down for the first out. But Eric Lauer has been on a bit of a cold streak for us. And he's also a new addition. So, one, I want to see what we got with our trade that we made. And then I also want to see if we can break him out of this bit of a slump that he's in. Going against Chris Bryant here. And gets him to swing at an ugly pitch on the inside. And reaches for one out of the zone. Rolled to Urias. And that's the second out of the inning. And we'll see if we can get Randall Grichuk out to make it 3 up and 3 down. Fly ball into left field, and Austin Hayes runs after it, and that's the end of the top of the second. Bottom of our lineup is due up, starting with Urias and Profar. 4 home runs, 22 RBIs, and there was a time at the beginning of this episode where I was thinking about trading Austin Hayes and letting Urias and Profar be our everyday left fielder. But there just wasn't that much that made me want to do that right now. Austin Hayes is still fairly young, and that is hit straight to the shortstop, but very hardly. But Austin Hayes is still fairly young at 27 years old. He has a 77 overall, but there just didn't seem to be much logic to me trading him away at this point in time. And I was also debating trading away Adam Frazier as well, but he's one of our better hitters on the team with a 275 average. So I feel like, he's not hurting us. We'll keep him around at least till the end of this year. And that's a fair ball, but great snag by the first baseman. And now James McCann, and I think he kind of helped with my DH situation because he did end up making... Or he didn't make the All-Star game, but he was like 3rd in voting at catcher, and that's solely because of his DH value. He's hitting 277 right now, which is very good, especially for what I thought we was going to get out of him. But he pops up here, and that's the end of the second. Catcher Elias Diaz right now going against Eric Lauer. And the first pitch is called a strike. And that's hit to third base fairly hard. But Urias is there to record the first out. And in steps Michael Toglia, who I was actually trying to trade earlier. We do need some first base depth. I'm not entirely 100% on giving up on Lewin Diaz, but he is only a C potential. And Michael Toglia would fill a need if there was a time where Mountcastle was not on this team. But that ended up not happening. I couldn't work anything out again. But he has worked this to a 3-1 count, and I know he has a lot of power, and I don't want to give him anything that he can crush. So we walk Toglia, and takes us back to Charlie Blackmon. And Toglia takes off. And that's not Rutschman back there. That's McCann, who doesn't quite have the arm. And Michael Toglia is safe. He's safe with 65 speed and 25 steal. That is absurd. 1-2 count. Did he go? And he did. Charlie Blackmon strikes out. And that is a second for Eric Lauer. So Tovar pops out to the infield, and that'll do it for the third. And now in the bottom, we are at the bottom of the lineup with number 9 hitter Austin Hayes leading off. Like I said, he was someone who I was thinking about trading, but he's still fairly young, and I don't feel like there was much to give us, you know, just a slight loss or even a slight gain in the trade block. And I feel comfortable enough to not necessarily say that we're going to actively pursue him to re-signing, or if we want to re-sign him in the offseason of free agency. But I'll leave that up to you guys as he gets a hit into shallow right field. So just say in the comments whether y'all think we should bring back Austin Hayes. It was a pretty solid hit from our number 9 hitter. Doesn't quite have a lot of speed or stealing ability. So we'll see if Gunnar Henderson can try and advance him. Henderson is 1 for 1 with a sprinkler of the middle last time. So 2-2 count. Oh, and he got me looking. I didn't want to swing at anything that low and get a double play. But that moves it to Cedric Mullins. Pretty solid hitter, but he flied out to the infield last time. And grounds back to the pitcher this time. And end of the third. That was very anticlimactic after a good start by Austin Hayes. And Eric Lauer trying to get through this fourth unscathed. Going against Jonathan Daza. Hit into right field. Santander is there to get it in quickly to limit a double. And now is Ryan McCann up, who is 0 for 1. And he pops it up to third base. And that's the first out. Now it's Brendan Rodgers' turn. See if we can maybe get a double play here or strike him out. And he's grounded into 17 double plays this season. And off the hands into right field. Santander is there. And Daza's going to third. And he is in there safely. So runners at the corners with 1 out and Chris Bryant up at bat. Eric Lauer has got his work cut out for him right here. And to Mountcastle, to Henderson and back. And that's a double play and no runs score. Take us to the bottom half of the fourth. So we start out here with Ryan Mountcastle with a 58% win percentage. And that's hit into right center. Will it find a hole? And it doesn't. So it brings up Anthony Santander. 20 home runs for him on the season. See if he can maybe get to 30 this year. 1-2 now. I'm going to have to contact swing. I don't want to get into a bad situation. And on the ground to first base. And that is the second out. And now it's Ramon Urias, the third baseman. Looking for his first hit here in the fourth. And last 3 games, he has a .375 average. He has been killing it. So I'm glad I moved him up in the order against righties. And he works it to a 3-0 count with Jurickson Profar on the deck. And hit to shortstop weakly, and that will be the third out of the inning. To start the top of the fifth, Eric Lauer has thrown 45 pitches, and he'll face the bottom of the order here. The 7, 8, 9 hitters at least. And Grichuk fouls that off. The 0-2 pitch to Randall Grichuk, and hit into left field, but Hayes is under it, and that's a routine out. And it's the catcher, Elias Diaz, at 8. And Diaz hits it up the middle. Henderson can't make the dive. And he has a single. And it's Michael Toglia. And that's hit softly to short or to second base. And Frazier has him for the second out. But leadoff man Charlie Blackmon is up. Soft roller to Henderson. Scoops it and throws it to first for the last out of the top of the fifth. And leading off is Profar. 0 for 1 so far on the day. 2-1 count here for Profar. And just early. And he works it to full count with Adam Frazier on deck. See if it's close, if we can put it in play. And right down the middle, but hit hard to the first baseman. Here's Adam Frazier looking to have a better job than his last time when he popped out to, I believe, first base. And that is hit into right field. And that is going to be down for a double. So Adam Frazier is sliding headfirst into second and safe. And actually a contact swung on that. That's Frazier's 19th double of the season. And the third hit of the Orioles. Here's McCann stepping in and swinging at a bad pitch. He had a pop out earlier in the game, looking to get his first hit of the night. Or his first walk. At least we don't have to worry about a double play, right? With Frazier on second. 2-1 count to McCann, and it's 3-1. And Austin Hayes is waiting in the wings if this isn't close. And it's full now. 3-2 count to James McCann from Antonio Senzatella. And that is hit to third base, but right to him. And second out is recorded. And now it's Austin Hayes, who is already 1 for 1 today, looking to bring in that runner from second. And that is hit hard down the line and foul. That had me going for a second. And struck him out. That was all on me, but that's the end of the fifth. And we're here in the sixth going against Ezekiel Tovar. Once again, Eric Lauer only at 57 pitches through 5. And the 1-2 pitch to Ezekiel Tovar is a ball. Looking to see if we can get a strikeout here on 2-2 with the changeup, and it's called for strike 3. And that's Lauer's third of the game. I wonder if just Eric Lauer isn't much of a strikeout pitcher, or if I'm just not pitching how he would normally pitch. But he's, you know, pretty solid at all of his attribute ratings and stuff like that. As that is hit down for a extra bases. Santander tracks it down, and Daza will hold at second. I believe that's his second hit of the day. And in steps Ryan McMahon against Eric Lauer with the lefty-lefty matchup. That's hit down the line to third. Urias stops it, but McMahon will be safe at first. So we'll see if we can get out of this jam that Lauer finds himself in again. If he gives up a run, it might just be time to bring in another pitcher. That's hit into center field. And Santander will hit the cutoff and safe at home. So Colorado scores a run. And that was off of a slider that I pitched with Lauer. So maybe I don't need to throw that pitch again. And I realized too late that they were actually running. But Chris Bryant didn't go, so he'll stay alive here with a 1-2 count. And a full count. Did he go? And he went. We get the strikeout of Chris Bryant, and it's still 2 outs. Fourth strikeout of the game for Eric Lauer. And now it is Randall Grichuk. I think we will, and we're going to bring in someone out of the pen. And it is going to be Ken Giles coming out to make his 28th appearance of the season. With a 1.61 ERA and does good against righties and lefties, I'm going to give him the opportunity to get rid of Elias Diaz in the 6th. And that is hit into the gap. Austin Hayes in pursuit, and the throw will hold the runner at third. But another run does score. 2-0 Rockies. Tolia pops out to end the inning to Gunnar Henderson. So 2-run score. And we have the top of the lineup. Trying to get those runs back. Gunnar Henderson now. And that is past him and into right field. And Gunnar Henderson's going to make the turn and go for second. And he has the speed to get in there safely. And he has a double to lead off this 6th inning. And just what this Orioles offense needed. A spark here in the back third of this game. Cedric Mullins pops it up to left field, but the left fielder is under it. Not quite what I was looking for right there. But hopefully Ryan Mountcastle can come through with a hit. Bring in Gunnar Henderson. He only has a 193 average with runners in scoring position, so it doesn't look great for Mountcastle. Maybe we need to drop him down in the order with that low average with runners in scoring position. It pops that up deep to left center, and it looks like it's going to be caught. And yeah, we'll tag up with Gunnar Henderson. And he's safe at third. Look at the speed shown off by the rookie. So hopefully Anthony Santander can come through. And that's hit into right field. I don't think it has enough. And it just dies at the wall. End of the 6th. We'll keep Ken Giles in there until he allows a base hit, most likely, as he faces Charlie Blackmon, who swings through a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Let's give him another one. And he pops it up to the infield. Adam Frazier is there. And the first out is caught. And shortstop Ezekiel Tovar is next to face Ken Giles. And he hits that into the gap in right center. Looks like Mullins will get there first. He throws it in. And Wild getting in. And Henderson throws the third. But the throw isn't quite in time. And Tovar has a triple. So runner at third with one out. Ken Giles is still on the mound. And the play is made by Mountcastle, and the runner doesn't go for home. So 2 outs now in the 7th, and it's Ryan McMahon up at bat. And hit hard, but foul, thankfully. And with the high heat, gets him swinging. Takes us to the bottom of the 7th, and Baltimore will get there another crack at making this a tie ball game. See if Ramon Urias can get this inning started off right. Watches a fastball. It's 0 for 2, looking for his first hit of the game. This might be his last chance to get it. And slow roller to third base, and looks like that's going to be the first out of the inning. So now it's Profar's turn, 0 for 2. Senzatella with his 76th pitch. And I swung entirely too late. And that's hit into the right center gap, and that's going to be extra bases for Profar. And he is standing up at second with one out here in the bottom of the 7th, and a little bit of life for the Orioles with Adam Frazier stepping in, 1 for 2 on the day. And he hits that into left field, and it's caught. So Profar can advance, and it's 2 outs here in the bottom of the 7th. And a chance for James McCann to come in clutch. He does have a 56 clutch rating, or a 44 maybe. I think it might have been Frazier who had a 56. And that is hit softly to shortstop, and looks like that might be the final out of the 7th. And here comes Dylan Tate to start this 8th inning for the Orioles. 46th appearance with a 1.65 ERA, pitching very well on the season. And he will face the bottom of this order for the Rockies. Got Brendan Rodgers swinging wildly with the slider. He could throw it a lot better than Ken Giles, apparently. And got him with the second one in a row. Chris Bryant steps in. Looks at the sinker that is borderline a strike. You got to give me that one, Blue, after I just had that strikeout. Come on. 2-1 count to Chris Bryant. And he doesn't go around on the slider. And with Dylan Tate's pitching repertoire, I'm just very nervous about letting anything over the plate. He has a sinker that looks like this. So, like, a lot of it'll miss. Mountcastle goes short to first base, and Tate is there to retire Grichuk. But there's a lot of movement in all of his pitches. The slider looks like this. It's a big opportunity to miss the entire strike zone, and this is the circle changeup. It's in the dirt. McCann doesn't have the blocking skills that Rutschman does, but I feel like as we get the out, I was trying to say I feel like that Tate might be somebody who we let go just because I don't like his pitching repertoire. It's hard to pitch with him whenever he comes into the game, just with this type of pitching mechanic that I'm using. But Austin Hayes here in the bottom of the 8th trying to get something started. 0-1 already. Hit hard but foul. And got me swinging at the slider on the 1-2 count. Oh, man. 3rd strikeout of the day for Senzatella. I would just like for him to get out of the game. So it looks like we're going to need to get another hit to force him out. He's at 86 pitches in the 8th. And facing Gunnar Henderson with a 2-run lead for the Rockies. That's hit up the middle by Henderson, and he is safely on base with a single. And they finally make a change. And it's going to be Brett Suter making his appearance. 2.96 ERA. Righties hit him a little bit harder. He is a lefty pitcher. We'll see if Mullins can come through and get himself a hit. And advance Henderson. I'm not sure if we want to try and steal just yet. And it wouldn't have mattered. Cedric Mullins grounds out. 2nd out of the inning. And looks like Ryan Mountcastle is going to need to come in a bit clutch if we want to try and win this game. We only get 2 more innings to try. Oh, it was coming in so slow. I thought it was going to break at some point, but no break. Just big miss at the fastball. And that is on the ground to 2nd base and the end of the 8th. And to start the 9th, I accidentally forgot to bring someone in or start anyone in the bullpen. But we'll just go ahead and let Dylan Tate handle this 9th. He's did pretty good in the 8th. We'll see if he can get out of this. If he allows a base runner, we'll bring in someone else. Ooh, that was dangerous. And Toglia has a 3-1 count. And this is where it gets a little bit of a problem for Dylan Tate because you don't want to miss right over the middle with those pitches. And the 3-2, and he walks. And it's going to be Keegan Aiken, the lefty. 31 games, 7 holds, 31.2 innings, and a 2.27 ERA. For some reason, lefties hit him a little bit better, but we'll see if he can retire Charlie Blackmon still. And over the head of Mountcastle at first base, Santander is there to back him up, but the runner will be safe at 3rd. Runners at 1st and 3rd with no outs. Facing Ezekiel Tovar now, and this is one of the things that covered in maybe a couple episodes ago, the last time that I was pitching out of this bullpen, just nobody in the bullpen has gained my trust, but Keegan Aiken right there getting a good strikeout. Not good for Tovar, but good for us. But yeah, just don't trust anyone in this bullpen. And that'll be foul. How is that a ball? Look at where that pitch was. How can you say that's a ball? And he gets Daza with the same pitch that he got Tovar on, that high fastball, for the second out of the inning. And now facing Ryan McCann. We'll see if he can do the same thing. And that is hit up to behind second base. Frazier has it. And they don't allow a run here in the top of the ninth. And we have one more opportunity. And we'll do that by facing a new pitcher, Tyler Kinley. And looks like he is their closer and doing a damn good job of it. 15 saves and 16 opportunities with no body on either side of the plate hitting over 200 on him. And that is popped up to third base. And first out is Anthony Santander. So here's Ramon Urias, looking not to have the same fate. 0 for 3 on the day. Had good timing, just ball was way out of the zone. And that is hit into right center, but caught by the right fielder. And it's the DH Jurickson Profar. 1 for 3 on the day. And that's hit hard into center field and gets by the second baseman. And Profar is at first with a single. A hard hit up the middle. And now it's Adam Frazier's opportunity to get another hit. Already 1 for 3 on the day. And that is hit hard to right center. Adam Frazier. And that drops down at the wall, and they are going to score. And Adam Frazier has a triple. Holy cow. His third of the season. I can't believe that Adam Frazier just hit that so hard. I thought it was out for a second. But it bounces off the bottom of the wall, and Adam Frazier has himself a triple. And we're going to go to the bench right now to bring in Adley Rutschman to pinch hit for James McCann. Adley Rutschman hits righties very good, and they have an opportunity to tie this ball game up here in the bottom of the ninth. And if we go to extras, Adley Rutschman is one of the best catchers in the league. And luckily, I didn't go there. Although, don't look in the bottom left hand of the screen. Just don't look there, I promise. And that's hit by Rutschman into left field. And the Rockies will take this one in Baltimore to a score of 2-1. And, man, I really thought we had a chance there at the end to come up with a win. But the Rockies were a little bit better than us, and they will go up to 52-77 record, while we stay at 51-78. And Eric Lauer will get a loss. But I think he pitched, fairly well. He 5.2 innings with 2 earned runs, 6 hits, 4 strikeouts, 3 walks. You'd like to cut those walks down, a little bit more strikeouts, but still an overall solid game out of Eric Lauer. Our bullpen and our offensive production just wasn't there for him today. We only had 4 players with hits. And after that game, I was thinking about calling up Grayson Rodriguez, but I'll just hold off until we get to September 1st and the September call-ups. So that means we will finish out this month of August. And looks like Adam Hall is going to be out for 1 to 2 months. That's unfortunate. He was one of our better minor leaguers. And Daz Cameron is going to be out 6 months with a torn Achilles. He was lighting it up in Double-A, I believe. But we finish out this game against the Chicago White Sox, and we win 1 of 3 from them. And against Colorado, we win the 2 games that I didn't pitch in or play in, so that is definitely encouraging. And we scored a lot more runs, 6 and 8, compared to the one that I could muster up. And I'd like to extend an offer here to Ryan Mountcastle for 3 years, $8 million, with, of course, a backloaded contract. His morale is angry, but he still signs the deal with us. And I would like to re-sign Cedric Mullin, but his performance has gone down a bit this year. He's on pace for more home runs. His average is lower, OBP is lower, slugging is a bit higher from last year, and his WAR is a lot lower in a, about average sample size. He's getting more walks, less Ks. So I'd be comfortable giving him a year or two. Let's see if he wants this 1 year, $4 million deal. No, he wants at least 2 years, it looks like. So we'll go a little bit higher. We'll go 2 years, $10 million. So we do re-sign Cedric Mullins. And you guys down below, let me know what you think about any of these other guys. I do think I want to try and re-sign Rodriguez now. Probably Ramon Urias, at least for like another season or two. Haven't decided if I want to switch Gunnar Henderson to third base yet. Dylan Tate, I'm on the fence about. He doesn't get many Ks, but ground ball pitcher. Never hurt anybody. Eric Lauer, we did trade for him, so I'd like to get him at least another couple seasons. At least until his arbitration runs out, but we'll see what we can get for him. And Austin Hayes, I'm still on the fence. I'm thinking I might let this go until free agency to see if we can, if there's anyone else in free agency that we can go after. And Abraham Toro's overall has gone up by 1, and he's added 2 points onto his average. So I'm thinking we're going to try and re-sign him for at least a couple years. And I'm going to go ahead and offer a deal here to Tyler Wells. He's one of our best pitchers this season. And he's pitched 126.2 innings. He has a 2.98 ERA and a 1.13 WHIP coming out of the bullpen. So a very good pitcher for us this year. And I'm okay offering this 3-year, $4 million deal, and that's what he's looking for. But you guys let me know who else y'all think that I should try and re-sign from this list. And the last day of August is over with, and we are finally into September. And we have to call up 2 players to our Major League roster, and I believe the first one is going to be Grayson Rodriguez, moving him back up to the majors. And I would add Toby Welk, but he is not on the 40-man roster right now, so he's not someone that we can try and bring up. So going to our 40-man roster, who is someone who is playing well that deserves to be called up. I think we'll just go ahead and bring up Darwinzon Hernandez, see what he has, see if he's somebody. His walks per 9 has gone up +7, so that's very good to see. Hopefully he can keep those walks per 9 down. But Hernandez and Grayson Rodriguez are our 2 September call-ups. So Cade Pavich will get a call-up to AAA to replace Grayson Rodriguez. And we're going to bring up Phoenix Sanders, 27 years old, just because he's the only one who's not a D potential here in AA. So he will move up to AAA to fill Hernandez's spot. And in AA, we already have a lot of starting pitchers, so we're going to move some relief pitchers up. Starting with Connor Loprick, and Nick Richmond will move up to AA. And Morgan McSweeney will also be moving up to AA. And we have an open roster, and I do need to fill a spot in the middle infield, so we're going to sign Paul Howell. And I don't normally sign potential guys who are young in free agency, but he's a 51 overall, and I kind of want to test an experiment to see how well he does at 23 years old and 51 overall, to see if maybe someday he can make the major league team with that potential. He might be like 33 years old, but he could make the team. And I did change his position to second base, so he now is a second base with third and short as his secondary position, and he will be in AA taking over for Adam Hall. And Paul Howell has that icon beside his name, which means he is a top prospect of ours now. And that made me want to look at the top prospect to see who we all have. Jackson Holliday is the number 6 prospect in all of baseball. And then scrolling down a little bit more, we have one more. Colton Cowser is the 33rd ranked prospect in all of baseball. And those are our top 2 prospects in the organization, and they might just make their MLB debuts at some point next year. And I do want to just go through this first week, this Arizona series, and see how Eric Lauer does. And he loses. And it was actually Darwinzon and Hernandez that got the loss. Wow, 54 ERA through just that one time that he pitched. What did he even do? Wow, 0.1 innings, 2 earned runs. Eric Lauer had 2 earned runs in 6 innings, so he pitched well. Dylan Tate pitched well. Ken Giles pitched well through 0.2 innings. And the bats were mediocre. Frazier and Austin Hayes with 2 hit days. And Arizona had 11 hits, 4 runs to beat us in that game. And we'll keep Dylan Beavers on the IL. And Arizona, we get swept. And we are now 53-83, which may just be one of the last place teams in the MLB. And only the Nationals, the Pirates, and the Rockies have a worse or the same record as us. So we will probably have a top 5, maybe top 6 pick in next year's draft. So I'm at least looking forward to that if we can't do anything this year. And then our player statistics, we have some players on cold streaks, unfortunately. Santander leads us in home runs with 21. Mullins has 28 stolen bases on the season. We'll see if maybe he can get to that 2020 club. RBIs, Santander has 60 with Mountcastle right behind him with 59. And we just are not scoring many runs this season. Averages, Adley Rutschman's has come down to a 288. Frazier's at 276. Only 7 players or 7 players at 250 or above, and Franchy Cordero is actually at 250, so you like to see the progression that he's having. Abraham Toro actually leads us in slugging percentage, so maybe that's a sign that he needs to get a little bit more playing time in the future here in this last month of the season. Gunnar Henderson leads our team in strikeouts with 106. Rutschman, Mullins, Mountcastle with doubles. Gunnar Henderson, Frazier, and Mateo all have 3 triples. And Gunnar Henderson now has 16 errors. But he still has a .969 fielding percentage. So, I guess that's not great on the team. And his WAR is at -1.5. But here are our WAR leaders, at least in the batting department. And Austin Hayes, Henderson, Mateo, Santander, Profar are all in the negative. And for Austin Hayes, this is his first negative WAR season since his rookie season. So that just gives me even more incentive to think that we should, let him test out free agency. But you guys let me know what y'all think I should do with that situation. And then for our pitchers, Eric Lauer, just coming in, I think he led our team in wins, but he is 13-6. Next is Cole Irvin at 11-11. And everyone else is pretty much less than 500 with their win percentages. Felix Bautista, 31 saves on the season. Strikeout leader is Lauer with 150. Bradish and Kramer both just top 100. ERA leader is Ken Giles, Dylan Tate, Aiken, Bautista, Crable, Wells. A lot of our relief pitchers. And then Darwinzon and Hernandez way down here at 54. Looks like he's only pitched 0.1 innings, so I don't know. Hopefully he doesn't get too many more like that. We have Cole Irvin, Kramer, and Lauer all with 17 quality starts. And they've all started 27 or 28 games, so pretty good stat that you like to see there. And the WAR leaders for pitchers, Cole Irvin. I'm thinking we're going to try and have to bring him back, 2.8 WAR. That is actually a career high for him in this series. And it's also a career high for Eric Lauer as well with the 2.6. And it looks like maybe just in one start that Grayson Rodriguez had, he brought his ERA down a little bit. Is now under 7. It was a 7.09, I believe, before we brought him back to the Major League roster. And here are some of the league leaders for the American League. Looks like Shohei Ohtani is in the top of a lot of these categories. Cedric Mullins leads in stolen bases. Love to see that. Adley Rutschman is up here for on-base percentage. OPS, wins, losses, saves. Bautista's down here at 8 with 31. ERA leader is Shane McClanahan. And he is also the strikeouts leader, has 5 complete games. Looks like he might be in the running for the Cy Young. And he also has the highest pitching WAR, and Aaron Judge has the highest batting WAR. And here's the same league leaders for the NL League. Looks like home run leader is Trace Thompson, holy cow, and Fernando Tatis at 37. Tatis doesn't have any stats prior to this season just because this was a created player that was brought in with the roster that I downloaded. Max Fried for pitchers has the most wins. Ryan Housley with saves. Blake Snell strikeouts. And Verlander leads you in pitching WAR, and batting WAR is Tatis Jr. But we had some big injuries in this episode. Daz Cameron was playing very well in Double-A, hitting .325 when he went down. 2 home runs and 13 RBIs and 83 at-bats. Dylan Beavers went down earlier in the season and was hitting fairly well in Double-A with a .259 average. And Adam Hall tore his calf, so we had to go out and get some help for our Double-A team. And those are the 3 players that will most likely miss the rest of the season. That does it for this episode. Next episode, we're going to be going through the month of September, seeing what we have for the minor league playoffs, and then we'll get y'all through some of these player lock games in the minors and major leagues. So make sure y'all say down below what players y'all would like to get a look at. I'm looking at maybe getting some minor league and professional pitching games. Maybe we get a look at Cade Povich or DL Hall or something, but y'all let me know. I'd like to see what Aaron Ashby has, but I don't think we can really do that with a player lock game. And we'll get a look at some of these players that are kind of on the bubble. Maybe player lock game with Mountcastle and Lewin Diaz. Maybe one with Abraham Toro, Adam Frazier, maybe Terran Vavra or Paul Howell to see how he's working out in Double-A. He actually already has a home run in 9 at-bats. Get a look at Jordan Westberg in AAA and Jackson Holiday in AAA. He's only hitting .204, so do you guys think we should move him back down to AA or just let him stick it out here in AAA? Might see what Joey Ortiz has. Definitely Toby Welk up here in AAA, hitting .304. So he has hit .304 in AAA, and he was hitting .313, I believe, whenever we moved him up from AA. So Toby Welk could be someone who makes the team next year. I feel like he has definitely earned himself a roster invite for spring training, even though if his attributes don't show it. But we'll look at Colton Cowser, maybe a game with Cedric Mullins and Heston Kjerstad and Santander. But y'all let me know who y'all would like to see in next episode. Leave a like down below if y'all are still enjoying the series. Next episode, we'll finish up the season, and then we can get into the off season in the episode after that. So leave your feedback down below. Like, subscribe to the channel to see more, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.